Hello, BookTube. You know what you need? You need another BookTube event. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, I really don't need another BookTube event. There are already half a dozen every month. There are more BookTube events than I can do. The last thing I need is another BookTube event. But you do. You do. There's a gap in the summer, right? There's a major BookTube event that starts the summer with guns blazing, and that is June on the Range, where we read Westerns. And then there's July, and then in August there's Garb August, where we read trash. But what about July? You could say Jane Austen July, crinoline, you like that sort of thing. But there's no rootin' tootin', real feel your chromosomes event in the middle of summer. Or at least there wasn't. Now there is. Because now, in July, there will be a new event called Booktubers at War. And this will not mean what you think. When you hear the phrase Booktubers at War, you're thinking that maybe Michael K. Vaughan and I are fighting about the legacy of Stan Lee, or Aaron Facer and I are fighting about prog rock. But I'm talking about Booktubers literally being at war. I'm talking about Booktubers reading about war in a BookTube event that was inspired by someone who's not a booktuber. DDB wants an event about war literature. Only not, I might as well get this out of the way right away because I'm still stunned by it, not nonfiction, which he hates. So the vast, incalculable body of war nonfiction, military history, not part of BookTube at War. Instead, fiction. Military-themed fiction, or fiction set against a backdrop of a military encounter. Now, there's a vast amount of stuff there, too. That's a huge body of literature, and I've loved a lot of it. So I'm not chafing too much at this limitation. I wish that it weren't there. But I'm not gonna branch off on my own and pick up Thucydides. Instead, we will do fiction for July, military fiction in July, and you'll be seeing TBRs. We've got a great roster of co-hosts for this thing, just fantastic. But my own TBR will take the form that mine usually do. If you watch this channel, you'll be familiar with it. My bailiwick is new releases in the American book market. I'm perfectly happy to reread, from the vast body of military fiction. I'm trusting that in July, the gods of the book world, bookish serendipity, will throw a lot of that literature in my path. I'm sure that that will happen. But when I heard about this event and was invited to be one of the co-hosts, I immediately thought not about what the Brattle or some thrift shop will provide, but rather what's on the list for July under the heading of military fiction. Because I'm going to read all that anyway. That's part of the remit that I have set for myself in reading. And I've assembled quite a bit of it here to show you. Because I'm going to be reading all of these things, and only now I'll be reading them with an event in mind. I'll be reading the BookTube at War. I want to show you the first 10 books that I want to show you, novels that I want to show you. You may notice something similar in them. Here is one, Cradles of the Reich. Here's another, A Child of the Reich. Here's a third, When We Had Wings. Here's a fourth, Die Around Sundown. Here's another one, The Air Raid Book Club. Starting to notice a trend here? Let's just keep going, amazingly. This is just July. The Paris Affair. Hey, where are you going? Care to turn around? No? Then we have The Forgotten Girls. Wonder if they're cute. We have Operation Moonlight. Well, she's got a flashlight. Maybe she can see where she's going. We can't see her, but... we have The Starlit Spy. We have An American Wife in Paris. All from July. All with the exact same stupid cover design. Women walking away from the viewer. Which originated in 2015 with a bunch of blue check marks on Twitter who have invaded, they have absolutely infested the publishing world, like they've infested so many other worlds, saying, well, we want an evocative cover, but we also want to deny the male gaze. So you can see the women on these covers, but you can't see anything of them. They don't have anything to do with, they don't need no man. They're not looking at you. You're not supposed to estimate, what they look like. We're going to deny the male gaze. Now, the impetus to do that has gone away. Thankfully, that fever crested and broke. But the fad continues. This is 10 books from 1 month in the American publisher season. I guarantee you, August will have 10 more books like this with absolutely interchangeable "Hey, where you going?" covers. But fortunately, there are other cover designs as well. Other books that will fall under the heading of BookTube at War. One of them, for instance, is one we've already seen. This is Kat Devereaux, Escape to Florence. Half of this book is set against the backdrop of World War II. So it definitely counts. You probably have a lot of books like this on your shelf. We have another new release here. This is Jamila Ahmed. This is Every Rising Sun, a kind of her update or a historically grounded take on Scheherazade and 1001 Nights, where a woman has to tell stories in order to keep safe, in order to stay alive. And the war that this is set against, is the backdrop is the Third Crusade. So very much contextualized in history. I have a bunch of books on the Crusades. So that definitely counts. It'll be a woman's story, but it definitely counts. Then keep in mind, the wars don't have to be real. They can be science fiction, fantasy, they can be mythological. Same thing with this one, A.D. Rhine. This is Horses of Fire, a novel of the Trojan War. In this, the impression that I get, I could be wrong, I haven't read even a teaser of this thing. The impression that I get is that it is purely born of blue checkmark Twitter politics, which means this will be a version of the Trojan War in which there aren't any men. They might get a stray mention now and then, but it will be mostly Hector's wife. It will be mostly King Priam's wife. It will be mostly Clytemnestra or, the oracles of Troy or the captive women of the Greek camp or whatnot. I could be wrong about that. I hope I am. I would like it if that fever crested as well, that blatant sexism that is just now it's not even commented on. It's just taken as a background fact of the publishing world. But of course your book will not be about a man, nor will it have any male characters unless they're villains. I'm hoping that fever crests as well. And of course the subject intimately interests me. Because I wrote a novel of the Trojan War. We're going to get some Frieda. Oh, she's thinking about it. We're going to get some yoga. Yes, we are. Oh. I have to remember to put that in the title. One of you told me, make sure you put Frieda Yoga in the title so that I know to watch the video. You should be watching all my videos. But this comes out in July. Myth retellings are all the rage now. I wrote a Trojan War novel myself. I doubt that this one will have anywhere near the number of bodily explosions as mine did, or any of the violence. But we shall see. I'll definitely read it. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Then we have, this is a war. It's the Cold War, though. So where the goal was to avoid live fire. This is Noel Hind, who's a thriller writer I haven't really paid that much attention to. And this is a book called Kennedy's Spy. He wrote a book, I think a year ago, called Eisenhower's Spy. And here, it's the same character. He's sort of an all-around two-fisted operative of the U.S. government, only he has changed presidents. Now the president is John F. Kennedy. And I'm wondering about this. I don't see much historical fiction set in and around this time period, so definitely give it a try, especially if the author attempts to dramatize President Kennedy. That is a very rare thing to happen when it isn't syrupy. We'll see. Since this is a thriller, I'm assuming it won't be syrupy. I'll definitely give it a try, and the Cold War counts. I mean, it's got war right there in the title. And then we'll finish up with the War of 1812. This is Julian Stockwin, who writes naval adventures in roughly the Napoleonic era. And this is his latest book. This is coming out in July. It's called Yankee Mission. And one of the main characters in this book isn't human. One of the main characters in this book is the USS Constitution, Old Ironsides. In this book, the main character, Stockwin is following a stock British character as he makes his way up through the ranks of the British naval, just like C.S. Forster and Patrick O'Brien and Dudley Pope and a whole bunch of other writers. And in this book, from the brief synopsis that I remember, the main character is pressed back into service in order to fight the fledgling U.S. Navy in a straight-up, no cheating, no surprise, no superiority of numbers, ship against ship encounter to show them what's what. If the ship in question is Old Ironsides, this book is going to take a lot of liberties with historical fact. Because whenever a British ship did that, they got the stuffing pounded out of them. We shall see. Superior seamanship and superior build, superior armaments, superior tactics, all of it, made Old Ironsides a match for anything in the British Navy. Which is why all of the ships in the main character's line of business are at the bottom of the ocean, And Old Ironsides is resting comfortably, still on active duty, in Boston. Come here, I'd be happy to show it to you. We shall see. Either way, this is bound. This author has never really wowed me. He's been at this forever. His novels have never really wowed me. But if he's going to dramatize naval action featuring Old Ironsides, I'm right there. Absolutely right there. So there you go. I have a number of possibilities for a July military fiction event. That is what you saw will basically be the rough outline of my TBR for July, lacking only the unpredictable stuff. Where, does a charity shop serve me up a war novel that I haven't read in forever or that I've never read? Does it do that? If that happens, I'm going to be wide open to that in July. I'll be wide open to it in the run-up to July. In June, I'll be accumulating novels like that if I see them. And of course, I'm throwing open the door to invite you to this latest BookTube event to read war fiction of some kind or other, or to reread it. The minute I heard about this event, I was seriously tempted to reread Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, for instance. I haven't, as you can see, I have enough books that aren't rereads to keep me busy for the month. But the rereads will come as well. So if you're interested in doing this, I'll leave a link to, I think Michael K Vaughan made a video today about it. It's going to have a great list of co-hosts. And of course, if you're interested, I'm curious to know what you might be thinking about doing for July. Is there any military fiction that you've been meaning to get to, or that you read and really liked and you want to revisit it? I'd love to hear about it. Absolutely love to hear about it. And if you do read military fiction, is it going to be one particular war? Is it going to be land or exclusively sea? Maybe even air? I'd love to hear about that. But there's a new BookTube event coming your way in July to fill the summer with good, fun reading. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I hope to see you all then. Thank you, BookTube.